For anyone really tapped into the hip hop culture of last year, more than just fangirling over the Drake and Kendrick beef or popping in for big releases from major artists, you might have noticed a lot of conversation sitting around a certain rapper, one who secured a huge viral hit in 2024, maintains one of the more dedicated fan bases in trap music, period, and feels like a bit of an outsider to the modern landscape of popular hip hop. That artist, of course, was SahBabii. SahBabii popped off in a major way throughout 2024 with the release of his much acclaimed album, Saaheem. But for those of us who grew up on WorldStar and SoundCloud, SahBabii isn't a new face in the slightest. In fact, he's been a force in trap music for almost a decade now, and his genius extends well beyond some flash-in-the-pan TikTok trend from last year. SahBabii is, to me, one of the few true creatives operating in trap today, and doesn't just have one great album, doesn't just have two, has a whole extensive collection of projects that altogether form one of the more consistent discographies in trap music, period. But I'm not really sure how much people are aware of that. I'm sure for many, Sah is just like this random rapper that had two viral songs almost 10 years apart from one another and nothing really more than that. And I find that very sad, because SahBabii is like one of my favorite rappers of all time. Someone I'm always excited to hear new music from, and a rapper I constantly have on repeat. So today I figured I would do my part and show Sah some of the love that I think he deserves but doesn't really get. This video is a little bit off the dome, a little bit unscripted, but without further ado, here are 5 reasons you should listen to SahBabii. I'll lock in. This is going to be a banger video. Okay, reason number 1. His music is just like weird. Weirdness can sometimes feel like a bit of a lost art form in modern music. You know, we're in an era where algorithms and trends seem to dominate like every facet of creation, and even the most like laughable music is basically just H&M adjacent. You'll be married in a year in the suburbs. But SahBabii stands to me as one of the last pioneers of truly weird ass music, and I love him for that. SahBabii is very well known for his strange lyrics, I mean, as he should be, but then also he has these beats that are like experimental, but in a way that sounds goofy and alien, but somehow still works. And then when he's rapping, he's lacing in like all these references to anime and cartoons and marine life. It's really an experience. And while it's like weird and strange and abnormal, it somehow still works and still feels very much like classic trap music, which is mind-blowing to me. I think no other rapper sounds like Sah. I mean, they never could. And this makes him kind of an anomaly in the modern trap space, because I feel like everybody at this point sounds like somebody, at least a little bit. I think it's very funny that Sah dropped like a huge album last year in the form of Saaheem, and where another rapper would make the deluxe for that record like this big, 10+ track kind of thing with a bunch of industry features and probably like, I don't know, Jersey club beats or whatever. Sah just added like 2 songs, and one of them was a guitar ballad with backup vocals from Clairo. Yes, that Clairo. I mean, this is the man that made Pull Up With a Stick. Like, I hope y'all see the range. Also, when it comes to the debate of like freakiest rapper, I know everyone wants to always say, oh, Kevin Gates or whatever. And I mean, fair, but I'm sorry, SahBabii like low-key has him beat. I don't know if there is a freakier rapper out there. There are things I have learned about this man just from listening to his music that maybe I never needed to know about anyone. And while other rappers doing the freaky shit might seem a little bit unnatural or like they're uncomfortable with it, with Sah, it's just like part of the world he crafts in his music, this weird alien rainbow like gummy worm world that I think at least the first half of his music especially kind of lives in. And then the second half gets a little bit more serious, but it's still super ridiculous, super out there. But it makes all those little freaky, strange bars not feel disgusting. They feel, funny and humorous. Also, like Sah's whole weird aesthetic extends beyond just the music, leaving us with a lot of like SahBabii lore, you know, pictures, videos, whatever out there to explore that really do kind of inform his whole artistic deal. You know, very good for a Pinterest mood board. I am putting y'all on. Okay, reason number 2, SahBabii is an Atlanta staple. Now look, I understand that many of y'all watching do not live in Atlanta, nor have you ever lived even near Atlanta. But speaking as a Georgia girl and as someone who actively lives in the city, like it's hard to describe just how big of a deal SahBabii is up here. I think some of SahBabii's appeal is in just how big he feels in the city and how important he is to the history of trap music here. While he was born in Chicago, SahBabii really is an Atlanta rapper at his core. I mean, he moved here when he was like 13. He lived over by East Point, like in the Sylvan Hills area. And I think he's just one of those rappers that feels much bigger in Atlanta than maybe he is in reality. You know, obviously the best example of that in practice is Young Nudy, who for the longest time I just thought was as big as 21 Savage because, like, I don't know, living in Atlanta, they seem of comparable size, I guess. I was kind of shocked to figure out Nudy is not as big as I thought he was. I swear to y'all, Nudy is putting up like Drake numbers in the city of Atlanta. And while SahBabii definitely doesn't have the same like notoriety in the city as I think a Nudy does, he's still like a lot bigger here. And I think very much like a cultural touchstone in Atlanta. You know, when it snowed last winter in the great Atlanta blizzard, everyone was outside dancing to Viking. That's kind of like one of the core memories I have of that time period. That was really a SahBabii dominated moment. And I guarantee y'all, like 60% of the guys I match with on dating apps in the area listen to SahBabii like religiously. SahBabii occupies like a similar level of popularity in Atlanta to like a Lil Tony or a Rack Baby or Glock 40 Spaz or Baby Drill, someone like that. But where I think Sah gets a bit more interesting is in how he serves as this kind of natural evolution to Atlanta's trap sound overall. You know, nowadays everyone wants to talk about like how Gunna or Cardi are the natural progression of Young Thug. And I could not disagree with that more. I feel like Gunna sounds like the natural progression of Thug like post 2017 when he got really normal and kind of, I don't want to say sold out, but kind of watered down his sound. And then Cardi is trying to be everyone all at once. Like Thug is definitely in there, but also Wayne and Kanye and Travis and Future and all of these different people I think Cardi wants to be. Funnily enough, it results in music that's just kind of like, I guess, I mean, it's repetitive. It's cool. I don't think it's maybe as interesting as he thinks it is, but it is definitely not on the level of like 2014 to 2016 Young Thug, which is kind of like untouchable. At least for me. SahBabii though, he kind of is the absolute continuation of what Thug was doing in that period. He kind of reminds me of like if 2015 Young Thug decided to go live in the attic of a Hot Topic and then also get really into a deep sea life. The vocal experimentation, the crazy like senseless lyrics, and then also the ability to thread it all together with genuine moments of emotion and like heartfelt performance. I feel like that's something SahBabii exceeds at so well. And the only other person I've seen deliver on that in the same way is like, you know, Thug in the mid 2010s. And look, man, if you know anything about me, Thug is probably my favorite artist of all time. And my favorite era of his work is definitely, you know, like 2014, 2016, whatever was going on there. He was firing on like every cylinder imaginable. So obviously, I think SahBabii taking from that era and kind of advancing it in his own way is very much awesome, needed. I really enjoy it. I think he's a great musician in part because of that. And you know, let me just say before anyone makes any like comments below talking about, oh, well, you're just saying Sah is like a Thug clone. I don't think he's a Thug clone. I feel like he draws from other influences like Schoolie and Rich Kids and Quan, like all these different rappers from Atlanta. But I feel like Thug is definitely his biggest influence. It's the one I hear most. And while I feel like Sah definitely does his own thing, I think there is something to be said for how he kind of serves as this like missing link in a way for Atlanta hip hop, at least what Thug was doing back in the day, where, you know, now you have like just Gunna doing kind of like an impression of 2018 So Much Fun era Thug. And then you have Saw like making a genuine follow up to like what Thug was doing on Barter 6 and the Rich Gang mixtapes and Jeffrey and like his best work. Okay, reason number 3, SahBabii is at like the perfect level of popularity. Okay, so if I can get a little bit stupid for a bit, you know, I just said SahBabii is bigger outside of the city than he is in it, and I stand on that. And I also think that's very like tragic because I do wish he was bigger. I think he deserves more success and fame than what he has. However, this does make it so SahBabii is at this like weird middle level of popularity. So if you put him on, you'll be very cool and mysterious and like musically minded if you're listening to SahBabii. It's gonna like build out your character. It's gonna make you look cooler. He's like popular enough to have these big bangers everyone knows, but also like small enough for you to put some Sah deep cuts on your playlist, and then bitches are gonna be like, oh my God, who is this? Put me on. You know, this reason is a little bit less serious than the other ones, obviously. But if you want to be cool, hop on the SahBabii bandwagon. You know, he has an upward trajectory right now. And this is like the ground floor. This is where you get in. And then, you know, in 3 years, when he's like featured on a Tyler the Creator album or whatever, you can be like, you know, I was listening to SahBabii in 2015. Y'all wasn't on this. Listening to SahBabii now is like an investment for your future. Also, like generally, we should probably just make SahBabii more popular. So you should listen to him because like the only way that he reaches the big status is if we listen to him now and give him that push. 3D chess. Okay, my 4th reason, SahBabii is just like inspirational, man. Probably the main reason why I love SahBabii so much and why I think you should be, you know, onto his music right now is because he just makes that inspirational music, man. SahBabii really used to work at like Dick's Sporting Goods, and then he hit some real success with the viral song Pull Up With a Stick, real SoundCloud banger. He got like hella cosigns, remixes with other rappers, and then it seems like in the years after, I guess just a lot happened to disrupt the upward trajectory. By the time he was 22, like 3 years after he blew up, Sah was already talking about retiring, planning to leave fans with just the 3-album trilogy of Sandus, Squidtastic, and Barnacles, which was titled Wolverine at the time. According to Sah, this was just because he wanted to focus on something different, but I'm sure a lack of like viral success played a part in that. You know, this was a few years after Pull Up With a Stick. Some of the I guess heat from that had kind of died down. You know, this was a period where I think the rapping was doing a bit less well than it was previously. And you know, as someone who creates on a much smaller and much different level, I definitely still can attest to the fact that like going viral, you know, once is not enough to keep you successful forever. And while that's something that I guess seems pretty obvious to anyone, you know, when you really experience virality and feel that first taste of success, you kind of feel unstoppable. And then the come down, seeing that, you know, future endeavors might not be as successful, might not be as rewarding, it does kind of suck, and it does kind of discourage you from creating overall. And I mean, artistic expression is like this constant struggle, regardless of if you're doing well. Even if you are succeeding, I think it's very easy to feel kind of pigeonholed into one style of expression that just can become very unrewarding. Like Sah talks about wanting to go make anime games or something like that, which, hey man, not a lane that I would pick for creativity, but like if that's what he wants to do or wanted to do in the past, like I understand how frustrating it can be for people to just be like, keep rapping, or to feel like the only way you're going to be successful is by just continuing to rap and not doing anything different. I think coming back from this period, Sah seems to have focused a lot more on kind of just doing his own shit. honing his signature sound, but also crafting this aesthetic for himself that's pretty different from what came before. Do It for Demon, the 2021 album from SahBabii, kind of kicked off a second trilogy for Sah and was inspired by the passing of his close friend, Demon Child. Sah said in an interview that Demon inspired him to get back to rapping about real emotional stuff and pain, and I think this second trilogy of Sah's career has been undeniably about that, or at least affected by it. I think it all culminated in Saaheem, which is really a progression of what SahBabii was doing back in the day. It's more mature, it's more developed, and it really has contributed to kind of this second wind in Sah's career lately. I think it really allowed him to expand and kind of grow out of his roots, to become a figure that I think most people should be looking out for in the future of hip hop. I mean, SahBabii is probably going to do some big, amazing things going forward. Where a lot of trap rappers like Thug or Future shed a lot of their experimental sound like 5 or 6 years after blowing up, Sah's story has been one that's so unique. He's really maintained his distinct style through it all. And SahBabii is really inspirational to me personally because he's this creative who came onto the scene with such a distinct and unique style. And while it's changed with time, I think he's always kept that different sound and really stuck to his guns, never, selling out or doing something boring or something that felt inauthentic to his artistic vision. In a world where trap can sometimes feel increasingly like it has a formula behind it, Sah reminds me of the really creative artistic expression that the genre can spawn at its very best. There is really no one else in trap music who does as much to inspire me as a creative. And my final reason number 5, these songs. When it comes to reasons you should love SahBabii, nothing is going to convince you quite like the music itself. So here's my suggestions of a song starter pack to get you, kicked off listening to SahBabii. And after this, if you don't feel pulled to, really lock in with his music, I don't know what to tell you. These are like some of the best trap songs ever. So your loss, I guess. A good starting point would probably be Saaheem, since it is his most popular project right now. And while I hate to start you off with a basic pick, I really think there's no better song to introduce you to Sah than Viking. Okay, however, if you listen to Viking, you have to play Don Quan intro off Saaheem directly before it. Hot like lava, bitch. Lot of choppers, bitch. Don Quan is like the first song on Saaheem. Viking is the second song, so they're already made to kind of transition into each other. And honestly, it's impossible for me to listen to Viking without putting on Don Quan, because hot take, I think it might even be a better song. It's literally has no drums. It's just like this beautiful string arrangement and Sah rapping over it. And it really taps into that kind of inspirational feeling of his music. It makes you feel like, something is about to be accomplished. Something is about to be achieved. It makes you want to get up and do something. And then, dancing on the wall to Viking is like the thing that you do after. Okay, from there, I want you to lock in with something a little bit more chill, because for as much as I love Sah's like more traditional banger tracks, he really does excel with these more laid back type cuts that I think are just a vibe in every sense of the word. So my recommendation would be Army off Squidtastic, which is just like a perfect song in every way. It has this great like guitar melody that just kind of hangs in the background while Sah gets on and raps. It's really one of those Sah deep cuts that you can fall in love with. I mean, I know I play that song like all the time. Okay, so now that you're kind of like fully with the shit, I think it's time you get into something a little bit weird, a little bit freaky, nothing too crazy. But I mean, look, man, Sah, he is known for his freaky songs. It's kind of like part of his appeal. So at some point, you got to tap in with that. I'm going to double dip on Saaheem and put you onto Waikiki. My diamonds on Waikiki, this that Fiji. Because that is a great song, wonderful, catchy melody from Sah. Really some all-time production as well. And then easily some of his most outrageous lyrics. Well, let me not say most outrageous. I think he has definitely worse in his catalog, but they're fun, they're gross, they're weird. They're kind of like mind-boggling. Like, how did he think this up? She act just like me. She got on my DNA is a crazy line. Unfortunately, a bar. Okay, then I feel like you need something a bit more personal because, you know, like I said already, Sah really did tap into this great personal, emotional energy with a lot of his music, especially after Barnacles. So the song I would pick for this category is, I think, probably the best one I could, which is the song that literally opens up Do It For Demon, which is the album that directly followed up Barnacles. That song is Divine Order Freestyle, which... when they get tough, it's gonna get tougher. It's like low-key, it's emotional, it's a banger. It's kind of like all these different things pulled off expertly by Sah. And I think it's one of those songs that no one else could really replicate or even come close to other than SahBabii. Okay, and finally, I'm gonna send you off with my personal favorite SahBabii song, Chit Chat off Sandus. This is the closer off Sah's first tape, and while it's a pretty simple, you know, talking that shit kind of song, there's something about Sah's delivery here, his hunger, and then the ominous nature of the beat kind of making all the bragging feel a bit uneasy. That just best captures a picture of Sah for me in all his different parts. This shit is flawless, and he made the song when he was 19, which is like mind-blowing. When I was 19, I was making, I don't know, Kendrick Lamar videos on the internet. I also feel like there's something to be said for the fact that this song, where Sah brags in a way that feels kind of uncertain, comes at the end of his very first project. It's kind of like the sound of someone seeing success in their art, but I think not feeling 100% like the future is locked in. Knowing how Sah's career would develop after this point, that feels very fitting for him. And I think it captures that aspirational energy to Sah that I love so much. It feels like the music you play at the end of the movie where like all the characters' lives have fallen apart miserably, and then over the end credits you show like the before times when they were all happy. Maybe that doesn't make sense. I hope it does. To me, it does. So those are the 5 reasons I think you, yes, you should be listening to my king, SahBabii. The secret 6th reason is because I think he has like the coolest septum piercing of all time. Somebody tell SahBabii, put me in touch with a jeweler, because I really want to steal that idea. Look, SahBabii is just really good. And the great thing about him is that he's literally in his prime right now. Like, I have no reason to expect SahBabii won't continue to drop like amazing banger music for the foreseeable future. A lot of his stuff, like production, management, all that, seems to take place in-house, like between his family and friends. And it truly seems like he's had to build up everything on his own. Meaning, even with success, I don't think he's just gonna commercialize or water down his sound. The most recent thing I've seen SahBabii do is get a feature on Baby Drill's newest album on a song called Violence. And man, that song is so good. I'm already like a pretty big Baby Drill fan, but the beat on that track is kind of this like weird 90s R&B inspired instrumental. And then Sah's delivery, his bars on the song is just completely flawless. Like, I literally think that track is amazing, and if it's a sign of where Sah is about to go, I mean, I could not be more locked in. I think if future music from Sah continues to be of this quality, like, I don't see a reality where he doesn't become like one of my top 5 favorite rappers of all time. He's already like getting there. Old heads would hate my top 50 rappers list. Like, Chief Keef would be top 3. I would get bullied off the internet. Sorry, like Tupac and Biggie, you're not Sosa. You never made Finito. You never made Almighty So. You never made Save Me. You never made How It Go. Also, in honor of this video, I made y'all a playlist. In order to help me convert more of you into the SahBabii cult, I've included a starter pack playlist in the description of this video with like 20-ish SahBabii songs that all serve as pretty great introductions to his music. I recommend y'all listen to the playlist in order because I kind of set it up to be listened to straight through, but I suppose I will allow shuffle play because, like I said, all these songs are pretty good intro points to Sah's music. And I mean, it's your gift, so, you know, do whatever you want with it.
It's your gift, man. Do whatever you want with it.
And, you know, speaking of underrated artists who deserve more love, me. Thank y'all for watching this video and engaging with it. You know, this is another video in a string of videos where I'm basically just making shit about whatever I want to. I'm sure that won't affect my views and audience retention at all. But hey man, what can I say? I love SahBabii. I've been listening to him a lot lately. I want to make a video about him. Bada boom. Here you go. As always, I want to give a massive shout out to my fans over on Patreon. It is y'all's support that keeps this channel alive and running. And a very special shout out to my patrons in the shout out tiers. Special thanks to Migdi, Anya May, Onyx, Sophie Villarot, Alex Mirabal, and Grace. And with that, as always, I have been Ellie. Y'all have been wonderful. Donate more money to the channel so I can buy more fans because my AC is out and my room is like 1,000 degrees. Fuck ice. And until next time, bye.